Hey guys, it's Van Galta, and welcome back to another video. Sorry about my lack of presentation. Some little thieves must have made off with my other curtain. Anyway, I'm here to discuss a far more serious topic surrounding everyone's favorite entertainment franchise, Disney.
Now everyone knows that Disney makes the best movies and TV shows, right? They're always good at giving you exactly what you want, not alienating the fan base or generally being good people.
And we're going to detail the many misadventures of our good friend Disney. So settle down, grab a tub of ice cream, because I am about to tell you the woes of Disney. Before we begin, I would just like to say that if you enjoyed the video, a like would be greatly appreciated, as well as a subscription and a comment. But without further ado, though, let's get into how Walt Disney's legacy has been shamed. So, first of all, we're back talking about Star Wars. Again.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Seems I just can't get enough of it these days. So anyway, we're here on the ad-ridden internet so we can talk about the subject of new Star Wars movies. And the subject today is latest Star Wars news. Rian Johnson confirms his trilogy is still happening, and plot details revealed on Andor Season 2. Oh, gosh. Okay. No, absolutely not. Rian Johnson, the man who directed and wrote maybe one of the worst movies of all time, The Last Jedi, with a script held together with toothpicks and rubber bands, cemented in place by a cast of characters who are hardly likable, played by actors that don't know what they're doing, under the management of a man whose work made him infamous. And now Disney's about to let him make his own trilogy? This is wrong on so many levels. I just don't get it. Okay, so let's actually just read the article. We're positively itching for tomorrow's penultimate episode of Andor. After 10 straight-up banger episodes full of the best dialogue in Star Wars we've seen in years, decades, beautiful scenery, incredible acting, and stunning cinematography, we're expecting some of the best fireworks before next season's finale. Now, to be clear, I haven't watched Andor, but this just sounds like a bunch of full-throated praise without specific acknowledgement. Notice how the author of this article doesn't even care to mention what makes Andor so good. So, why is the acting so great? By what standard is the cinematography so good? That'll be on the way in just a few hours, but until then we have the news that The Last Jedi's Rian Johnson still considers his Star Wars trilogy to be in development, a sneak peek into the plot lines of Andor Season 2, and some insights about how Andor director Toby Haynes made that Imperial work facility so oppressive. So we're not focusing on Andor right now, we're just focusing on this news about Rian Johnson's new Star Wars trilogy. Rian Johnson plans to return to Star Wars after Knives Out 3. In late 2017, Disney and Lucasfilm were so happy with Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi that they greenlit an entire trilogy to be written and directed by him. Notice how the creators are super pleased with their works, but the fans are not. Fans hated The Last Jedi. It was abjectly one of the worst pieces of writing and storytelling that I have ever seen. So there Disney is, looking smugly at their amazing work and down at the stupid fans who dare criticize whatever they have to offer. Disney is living in an insulated dream world from which there is no escape. They're living their own fantasy. Who cares what you think? They're satisfied, so why shouldn't you be? When asked about his Star Wars trilogy by Variety, he said,
Right now I'm focused on this. The next thing I write will be the third one of these, but I'm still... ... We've got years. We're young men. Look at us. Making Star Wars was the high point of my life, so I still pray to God I'll be back there someday.
And you know what the fans are praying? The fans are praying for you to stay away. Star Wars fans' final prayer would be something along the lines of,
and please let Rian Johnson never come back to make more crappy movies.
In this context, fans are treated as enemies to be ignored. No one cares about Rian Johnson's Star Wars films. He was a terrible writer to begin with. I mean, if Last Jedi's anything to go by. He was asked the same question by The Hollywood Reporter.
I still had the best experience of my life making and putting out the Star Wars movie that I did. I'm still talking to Kathleen Kennedy, and at some point in the future, it's my goal to be back in that world. I love it so much.
All right, Johnson, I know you keep trying to consider yourself a fan of the franchise. Let's be honest, Johnson, you're just after those big Disney bucks, huh? But if this means that you're going to create more garbage Star Wars movies for us to throw up, then kindly stay the frick away. Any new Rian Johnson Star Wars is likely to be met with intense controversy from the fans who still haven't forgiven him for The Last Jedi. However, with the dust now having settled on Disney's sequel trilogy, consensus is beginning to build that it's the best of the three, though admittedly the competition isn't particularly strong. Here's hoping that this long development project finally starts moving in the latter half of the 2020s.
What kind of crabby reasoning is that?
Let's be clear, the sequels are quite garbage. That being said, Rian Johnson developed the best of the garbage, which is why we should let him develop 3 more garbages. Like what? What kind of reasoning is that? Instead of picking a director who's directed garbage Star Wars movies in the past, why don't we just get a new director who can direct better future Star Wars films? Anyway, it seems that Disney is really not learning from their mistakes. Hold that thought, keep it in mind, because it'll pop up later. Alright, on to the second article. Disney film featuring gay main character bombs at box office. Alright, I want to be really clear on this topic. Whatever your views on the progressive ideology, you have to admit that this is bad for storytelling. Disney chooses to play identity politics because it can cover up their bad writing. If you don't believe me, I'll keep reading this article, and you'll see why. Strange World had Disney's second worst opening weekend ever, behind only the pandemic-era release of West Side Story, directed by Steven Spielberg. Variety reported Sunday. Ultimately, Strange World only garnered about half of its projected weekend revenue. Whether or not your main character is gay does not influence how good your story is. Like I said, Disney is using this as a cover for their inability to tell a good story. The film featured a star-studded cast, including voice acting from Jake Gyllenhaal, Dennis Quaid, Lucy Liu, and Gabriel Union, and sported a massive budget between 120 and 130 million, the Daily Mail writes, which only goes to prove that good actors and good acting cannot outweigh bad writing. Expectations were initially high for Strange World, with Disney projecting the film to earn between $30 and $40 million over the weekend. However, those figures were rapidly and significantly revised downwards when it was understood how poorly the movie was performing with audiences. You think? Honestly, I would expect nothing less from Disney. We have a term for this. It's called creatively bankrupt. However, one liberal movie reviewer said Disney would likely use homophobia to shield it from this film's obvious shortcomings. See? The progressive crowd is saying it too. Disney just can't make good movies. Quote, Disney is 100% going to blame Strange World's inevitable box office fail on the fact that there's an openly gay character in the movie, when in all reality, it's going to flop because they didn't market it at all. They'll use this as an excuse to not have a queer rep ever again. Aside from the progressive emphasis for some, the movie simply failed to entertain. Quote, took the kids to the movies today to watch a Disney cartoon called Strange World. Within 10 minutes of the movie, my 10-year-old son said, Dad, I have no desire to watch this movie. Can we leave? We left. The leaders at Disney have forgotten who the paying customer is, says the popular broadcaster Patrick Bet David. Oh.
That's gotta hurt.
Imagine your target audience, a 10-year-old, says,
Dad, I have no desire to watch this movie.
And then they leave the theater. What would Walt Disney say if he heard that? Oh, see how the children love our shows. They must care so much that we are making the most quality entertainment in the United States.
Why?
Well, anyway, we're on to the third article, which kind of explains the other two. Disney CEO pledges to double down on LGBT quote-unquote storytelling in animated kids' movies.
Why are we still here?
Aside from the elephant in the room, which is the obvious political debate between left and right, and even in some places the moral debate going on here, ignoring all of that, we can see how Disney's emphasis is not on storytelling. Rather, it's on representation, identity politics. Bob Iger, the newly appointed CEO of Disney, pledged to double down on LGBT quote-unquote storytelling in the company's animated kids movies during a Monday town hall with employees, according to the New York Times. I love how whoever's writing this is putting scare quotes around storytelling, because we all know that Disney's storytelling is really just political messaging. An employee at the town hall asked Iger about the company's commitment to LGBT storytelling in the future, and he responded affirmatively. Quote, one of the core values in our storytelling is inclusion and acceptance and tolerance, and we can't lose that, said Iger, according to the New York Times. We're not going to make everyone happy all the time, and we're not going to try to. We're certainly not going to lessen our core values in order to make everyone happy all the time. But Mr. Iger, aren't you in the business of making people happy?
You'd like to think that, wouldn't you?
No, you're in the business of pissing people off. Ah, those despicable fans, why don't we make something that ruins their day? Yeah, let's do that, boss. The point is, they are not concerned with actual storytelling. or even with making people happy. They are concerned with pushing an agenda, which I mean, it's your money, your company, your business. You push an agenda if you want. Call me an old-fashioned skeptic, but I thought the way you used to garner fans was you actually tell a good story, right? That was how you got money. You told a story that people liked. You know, kind of like Top Gun Maverick or, Elden Ring. I mean, things are successful because they actually give people what they want, right? The company initially found itself in hot water after coming out against Florida's parental rights and education bill following blah, 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 blah. As much as I enjoy talking about politics, however a hot topic it may be, it doesn't belong in writing. Pushing a political agenda has no place in writing because that, my friend, is called propaganda. Listen, the debate about politics is one that needs to happen, but it does not need to happen here. Anyway, there's just a lot more here about Disney's involvement with Ron DeSantis in Florida, but anyway. Then there's this line here about Disney recently released its first movie with a gay lead character, Strange World, which had a budget of $180 million and only brought in about $18.6 million by Thanksgiving weekend. The article also states that the company also came under fire after videos leaked by Manhattan Institute senior fellow Christopher Rufo appeared to reveal internal meetings with executives in which employees boasted about their plans to inject sexual content into children's shows, with an executive producer allegedly thanking the company's leadership for being very welcoming of her quote-unquote not at all secret gay agenda. Call me a skeptic, a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, or whatever you want. But I have reason to believe that Disney staff is made up of activists, not storytellers. And as long as this trend towards activism versus storytelling even exists, then Disney is going to continue to plummet. You know what I say? I say good riddance. I just like to kick back and watch the world burn. Anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Excuse my lack of presentation here. Hopefully you can pay attention to my handsome face without being bothered with a black curtain backdrop. Let's talk about Disney in the comment section below. Do you think it's in a good spot? A bad spot? An okay, mediocre spot? What do you think of all this politicization? But in any case, I remain Van Galta, and I'll see you in the next video.